In this video, we're gonna be talking about 3 exercises that you should be doing prior to completing your top set. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Dr. Joey Rosie. I'm a physiotherapist, strength coach, and the founder of Elite Performance. So when an athlete is going for a top set, and it really doesn't even matter which exercise they're going for, whether it's clean jerk, snatch, squat, bench, or deadlift, because this is gonna be beneficial for any of them, right? And every single one of those lifts have something in common. And the common theme that they have is they are a core lift, meaning they're gonna really utilize a lot of the muscles that we have in our body, okay? Now with that being said, one thing that we know as coaches and as physiotherapists is the stronger that we get our core, the better we are gonna be able to do any exercise really. But in particular, these exercises. Now, as a physiotherapist that works primarily with strength athletes, a common theme that I see are muscle imbalances. So that being said, one thing that I want to show you are a couple things that you can be doing to keep yourself from having some of those imbalances and continue to keep hitting those top sets and hitting, peak performance. So with that being said, let's dive into it. So when taking a look at the core, okay, we can't neglect that the core is more than just the abdominals here in the front, right? The core is gonna be anything that really encapsulates and is touching the pelvis. So we have to have more of a 360-degree view of this. So when taking a look at the core or when training the core to any level, and especially when hitting these top sets of these bigger lifts and these core lifts, we want to make sure that our training is focusing on every single one of these. And I find it works much better prior, and it's gonna allow you to feel more stable when completing these lifts. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through all 3 areas. So we're gonna look here in the front, we're gonna take a look here in the back, and then we can't neglect the sides. All right guys, so the first thing we wanna do is we're gonna work on the anterior or the front part of the core. Now, this is a different way of working on the abdominals. There's a lot of ways you can do it. There's plenty of exercises. This just happens to be one that I like to do. So, what you want to do is you'll be sitting on the ground, okay? You're going to dig your heels, and you're trying to make 90 degrees here at the knees, and then another 90 here at the torso. So, first thing you want to do is you want to dig the feet into the ground, your heels, then you're going to cross your arms over your shoulders. I want to make sure we're not rounding here, but we're able to stay nice and flat. Then we're going to hold ourselves up. We want to make sure we're not using our neck muscles to pull ourselves forward, but keep it actually back. Then we're going to hold this position. As you can tell, it's extremely challenging. Now what I like to do with this is I like to do it for prolonged holds. You can do this and eventually progress to adding some weight and do more of like a Roman chair style, and you're actually bringing the weight side to side. However, this is a phenomenal way just to hold that and get that endurance, okay? Because the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do something similar with an endurance hold for the back. All right, so this next thing I wanna look at is using a GHD or glute ham developer. So when doing this, what we want to do is I'm going to show you here, I'm going to get in here, I'm going to lay in this, and now I'm going to focus on using the back and holding myself still. Okay, I'm not going to have any active movement, it's just going to be an isometric, which simply means we're going to hold this for as long as we can. I'm looking for at least 60-second holds, okay, and if you can't get up to 60 seconds, that's fine, work your way on up. If you can, that's great, look at either extending that time or do a few rounds of those or a few sets of those. Now, when setting up this, you can change the distance that this is at. Now the reason that's important is it's going to change and allow us to bias certain muscles. Now this is going to work the glutes, the hamstrings, etc., as well as the low back. Now I'm going to push this further back because I want to emphasize the low back. Reason being is when I have my hips here on this pad, I want my hips right here about the midpoint of this. That way only a little bit of my torso is actually hanging off from here on up. That's gonna allow me to put a lot of the emphasis here in the low back rather than hyperextending and using more of the glutes. Let me show you. So coming on in, I wanna straighten my legs out. It's about my belly button's here, right here in the middle, And then what I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm not hyperextending, and I want to make sure I'm flattening myself out. I'm going to let go, and I'm going to hold. And I want to make sure I'm not hyperextending up or coming down, moving, etc. Just needs to be a prolonged hold. Now, as mentioned, we want to be doing this, if we can, up to about 60 seconds at a time. Like I said, if you can do more, by all means, continue to go further and work on that endurance, or look at adding additional sets. If you can't get to that 60 seconds, that's fine. Find what your baseline is and start working on building that up. All right, so last but not least, we need to take focus and control of the obliques. So when doing so, I like to do a standing oblique exercise where you simply have a dumbbell on one side and then control it with the opposite obliques. Now, the reason I like this is because honestly, it's very simple, it's easy to set up, and it doesn't take a lot of time. But, so when having the weight at our side, and I'm gonna demonstrate this here in a minute, we wanna make sure that our arms are just hanging and the weight is simply an extension of our body. Now, when doing this, I wanna make sure that we're eliminating any sort of muscle activity coming from the arm, the shoulder, of holding that up. So with that being said, I like to actually use these straps, okay? There's nothing special about this specific brand or anything, but I like to use straps and just let that weight hang down. Then I can just not really have to focus on using any part of the arm, and I can truly focus on using the opposite oblique that it's pulling me down in. Let me demonstrate. All right, so what I have here is I have here 25 pounds. Okay, it's not a lot of weight, it's not a little bit of weight either. So what I wanna do is I'm gonna have it just to my side and I'm just letting it hang down, okay? It's simply an extension of me at this point. I wanna keep my feet together. I wanna narrow that base of support, okay? That way it requires more muscle activity from here. I wanna make sure I'm in a good erect position. And then what I'm gonna do is just slightly bring the dumbbell down my side, and I'm gonna use my obliques over here to lower me down. And I'm gonna go as far as I can without compensating, and out the hips dropping, knees bending, etc. And then I'm gonna try and just contract and slowly bring myself up, back to neutral, and I simply will go just slightly beyond it, okay? This is absolutely one of my favorite exercises because it's so simple to do, it doesn't take a lot of time to set up, and it's extremely effective. All right, guys, so that's all I got for you today. Remember, we wanna hit all three areas. We wanna hit the front, the back, and the sides. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Drop a comment below and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.